Hey guys, this is the Wolverine doll. It's a good time to be following Darkside Phil. It seems like he has more of a hair trigger than ever before, and perhaps you're new to the Snortex, having arrived as one of Asmongold's roaches, and are now wondering about how you might provoke Darkside Phil with a message. Well, LARPing DSP is a tradition with some ground rules, so let me clue you in. Rule 1. Never give him money. Email him or at him in his YouTube chat. Even if he doesn't read it out loud, he'll read it. His chat moves like molasses and he's a narcissist. He'll read it. He even reads the comments in detractor videos, mentioning talking points that were only brought up there and not in the video itself. He reads everything he can find about himself. There is never a reason to give this pig money. Rule 2. Keep it superficially positive. You can sneak diss him all you want, and he will not notice, but make sure that the most surface-level, childlike reading of the message is one of praise. Actual dents with actual good advice to offer have failed this screening process. Rule 3. Decide what you want to do. This one's pretty simple. You can't achieve a goal that you don't have. The form that your message takes will depend on your objective. So let's go over some of the most likely objectives you might have. Do you want to make him mad? I honestly believe that open hostility is not the best way to achieve this. He will turn his brain off as a defense mechanism and not think further about your message. Act innocent and confused as you share whatever agitating information you have. The thing that succeeds at angering him most consistently is the thought that someone, somewhere, possesses even 1 penny that is rightfully his. This is why the LARPer who introduced the word withholders into his vocabulary was a genius, because Philip now thinks of anyone who is not actively giving him money as stealing from him. Another thing that really gets him stewing is the idea that any circumstances beyond his control have caused him to receive less money or attention than normal. This is one reason why he talks about his schedule so goddamn much. LARPers and Dents alike have said they missed streams because they were confused about the schedule. This is also why he stews over the idea that detractors have made his channel undiscoverable, even though a quick search for his own channel would disprove this idea. I should talk about this YouTube comment. It is the single most successful DSP LARP in history, bar none. This comment changed the guy's life. At a stroke, it transformed the entire Snortex in his mind from a subculture that made fun of him because he's funny, to a cottage industry of professionals who not only all make money off of mocking Phil, but who wouldn't be doing it otherwise. It expertly plays off of his hatred of other people possessing money he feels is his own. It also plays into his constant need for acceptance and love, because if we are only mocking him for profit, that means we don't really hate him. And it even finds time to play off of his hatred of women. If there was a textbook about LARPing Phil, Chapter 1 would be all about this comment. For the record, I've made only a tiny amount of money making fun of the guy. This is not my day job, and I doubt it ever will be. I do this because I love mocking Phil. I love mocking Phil more than Phil loves being Phil. But don't tell Phil that. Hey, you know those scam baiters who pretend to almost give gift cards to scammers and then redeem them at the last minute? I bet you could get something similar to work on Philip. Just like phishing scammers, Philip makes his living preying on those who are too mentally impaired to know any better, and this line of work comes with its own frustrations. Like when someone is stupid enough to be actively trying to give you money, but is too stupid to successfully do so. Another thing that riles him up sometimes is asking him just the dumbest shit. Remember, he wants to be a great sage, not an idiot with a following of even bigger idiots. so asking him the most inane questions you can think of is a sort of painful reminder for him. This is why the Jonathan Frakes questions and Pat Sajak questions were such beautiful sources of memes. Philip wants to be consulted about things like Gamergate or SOPA, but when he is actually asked whether he remembers the tallest man he's ever seen, he is brought back to reality. Welcome home. Do you want Philip to reveal new information about his life? One of the best ways to do this is to ask for advice. He loves giving advice, and he often lowers his guard and is tricked into sharing things we didn't even know we wanted to learn. This is where we got the Wolverine doll story from. I would recommend asking for advice related to his central fantasy of manhood. How to be fit, how to be handy, how to be a good husband and father. Things he imagines himself to be, but definitely is not. You can also ask him about how to resolve a conflict with your parents, because he then gets to project himself onto those parents. This is where the prom story came from. Do you want to slowly make Philip more insane? I don't think you're going to outpace Father Time in this one. Shoutouts to the detractor named Father Time, but you can try if you want to. Warnings about outside threats are the simplest way to increase Philip's insanity. Potential dangers to his life or property can work, but the thing that agitates him the most is a threat to his schedule. When Comcast warned Philip of a service-related outage that would last a few hours, a Larper warned him that something similar had happened to him, and the outage lasted for 6 weeks. This made Philip absolutely lose his shit, and it was the main focus of his stream for days on end. In the end, the outage really did only last for a couple of hours, as they had said all along. An offhand, low-effort LARP made Philip visibly more paranoid and resentful toward the outside world, because it threatened the sanctity of the schedule. Do you want to catfish him? Maybe you're a staunch member of Team Divorce who is quite certain that Philip is single and ready to mingle, and maybe you hate yourself and think that the best use of your time is to seduce the guy. Since Philip is obsessed with money, you might think that it's best to pretend to be a wealthy heiress or something, but I think this is the wrong approach, because if you have money, you also have autonomy. Of the 2 women he has been with, one was a high school student 10 years his junior, and the other was a battered woman who needed somewhere to stay. Philip has a type, and that type is helpless. Don't be too obvious right out the gate as far as pretending to be hot for P.P. Burnell, but make it clear that you are in a bad place. Maybe also throw in that you can cook. Are you trying to make other detractors laugh? I don't really classify this as LARPing, since the main point of it is to communicate with detractors rather than the guy, but speaking for myself, I will laugh much harder if you stay in character. Also, bonus tip. If you're writing a long message, add at least one superfluous detail that the guy can latch onto. He loves these as they give him a sense of control. For example, the Comcast email mentioned that the workers who were replacing his lines were contractors rather than full-time Comcast employees. This meant absolutely nothing, but Philip decided that it was very meaningful and a crucial factor when estimating the length of the coming outage. Demonstration. Let's write a LARPer email. Okay, so we've got our sock account ready to go. I'm going to try to incorporate some of the principles we talked about. His email address is darksidephil@hotmail.com. As though he weren't already Maximum Karen, he does still have a Hotmail account. We gotta have an objective. It's less likely that he'll answer an email compared to a question in a Q&A segment in his chat, so let's just try to make him mad. Dear Phil, I've been a big fan since your playthrough of Heavy Rain. Now, this is a meme that is exclusive to LARPers. I'm going to indulge in it here because I think Philip still isn't onto it. Heavy Rain was a playthrough he did back in 2010 that got a lot of views, and he's still proud of that. And he seems to still believe that there's this like silent majority of people who have been watching him for that long and are still loyal, even though this is not borne out in his viewer count. All right. Boop, boop, boop. I don't really talk in chat because I'm afraid of being targeted by your detractors. So I hope you won't mind a friendly email. I hope you know how much you mean to all your true and intelligent fans. Another major element of Philip's day-to-day fantasy life is that his viewers are the smart ones. Once again, rather wanting for evidence to bear that one out. I hope you don't mind helping me with a question. Do you travel a lot? I ask because I try to follow your stream every week so I can end my week with you, but sometimes we seem to go out of sync, and your week seems to end on a different day than mine. My therapist tells me that this might be because you are often flying across the international date line, which causes the date to change for you while my timeline remains stable. Okay, so we're getting him mad about the scheduling. I think this is a solid, reliable thing to make him mad about. Now we've got to add an irrelevant fact to latch onto, and I've got a good one. I heard once that Hulk Hogan worked for 400 days in 1 year because he flew back and forth across the international date line so often that he went back in time. This is a thing that the Hulkster actually said. The Hulkster was almost as prolific a liar as Darkside Phil. You know, he studied under the best. Thanks for your time. As a way of showing thanks, I will gift some memberships to your Raw Phil channel. This is my favorite way to watch you because it gives me the full context. Both of your chats plus a handy weather report. Thank you for keeping Raw Phil live for people like me. Yours sincerely, Edison Schiaparelli. All right. Yeah, I think we got it. Let's hit send. I don't know. I might not never use this account again. If he replies, I'm certainly gonna share it with all of you. Thanks for following me on this one. Keep your stick on the ice.